Brothers and sisters, today I want to talk to you about something that touches the heart of every Christian, something you may have already experienced or may experience soon: the dark night of the soul. But it's not just a painful experience, it's an urgent and crucial topic that concerns all of us, because it is through this trial that we can reach perfect union with God's love. It's a path we all must walk if we desire to live a truly authentic and fulfilled spiritual life. Have you ever felt distant from God? As if your prayers go unanswered? As if you are immersed in a deep darkness with no way out? If you have felt or are feeling something similar, then this message is for you. Often in our faith journey, we encounter mistakes that pull us away from God, binding us to disordered desires and false securities. But today, I'll talk to you about how to avoid these mistakes and how we can reach true union with God, even here in this life. Don't miss the words of St. John of the Cross, for they speak to each one of us, describing what we feel and may hold the key to understanding the deeper meaning of our spiritual suffering. Through the teachings of St. John of the Cross, we will discover together how to face and overcome the dark night, to reach that peace and love that only God can give. Stay with me until the end, because the words of St. John of the Cross can transform your faith journey.
To enjoy everything, seek enjoyment in nothing. To possess everything, seek to possess nothing. To be everything, seek to be nothing. To know everything, seek to know nothing in anything. To come to what you do not enjoy, you must go through where you do not enjoy. To reach what you do not know, you must go through where you do not know. To possess what you do not have, you must pass through where you have nothing now. To arrive at what you are not, you must go through where you are not now.
One of the great masters of the spiritual life, St. John of the Cross, wrote deeply about this experience. He describes the dark night as a necessary purification phase to draw closer to God. In his work, John offers us a powerful image, that of a soul in a dark night, leaving home to embark on a journey, driven by divine love. But before being able to leave and surrender into God's hands, it is necessary for the house to be asleep, meaning that the soul must be freed from its disordered desires, unruly passions, and must have found inner peace. The sleeping house symbolizes a soul that has found inner tranquility and has put things in order within itself. This is an essential first step in facing the dark night, putting order in our inner life. John invites us to this process of purification, which is nothing more than detaching from our disordered appetites, from those habits and desires that bind us to earthly things and prevent us from soaring toward God. One of the aspects that St. John of the Cross highlights in the dark night is the sensation of blindness. When we find ourselves in the dark night, it's as if we can no longer see the path to follow clearly. Things that once seemed obvious or clear are now blurred. It's a common experience in the spiritual life. Sometimes we feel lost, unable to perceive God's presence, not understanding why certain things happen or why we must face certain trials. But this blindness is not a punishment. It is, instead, a stage of growth. When we realize that we cannot see on our own, we learn to trust more deeply in God. It is in this moment that faith truly becomes faith, because it no longer rests on our certainties, but on a profound trust in God, even when we cannot perceive Him clearly. St. John of the Cross also speaks of weariness. It's a weariness that is not just physical, but profoundly spiritual. It's the weariness of a soul that has sought God with all its strength, but seems unable to find Him. Perhaps some of you have experienced this, that sense of emptiness, of inner exhaustion, when it feels like every effort is in vain and prayers fall into the void. But St. John reminds us that this weariness is a necessary passage. It is precisely when we are most tired, when it seems like we have no more strength, that God can work in us most deeply. It is the moment when we must completely abandon ourselves to Him, acknowledging that we cannot do everything on our own. It is in this surrender that God renews us, purifies us, and prepares us for a deeper union with Him.
When you stop at something, you cease to move towards the whole. And when you come to possess the whole, you must possess it without wanting anything. Because if you want to possess something of the whole, you do not have your only treasure in God.
Saint John of the Cross also invites us to reflect on the inner disarray that prevents us from progressing on our spiritual journey. When we are too attached to our appetites, when our desires are disordered, we feel tormented, tired, and unclean. John uses powerful imagery to describe this state. It's like lying on thorns, like trying to rest in a bed full of discomfort. These disorders manifest in different ways. They can be excesses in food, alcohol, or sexuality, but also subtler things like attachment to success, seeking approval from others, or material security. All these things weigh us down, make us blind and tired, and prevent us from moving toward God. To face the dark night, it is crucial to work on these inner disorders. It's not about repressing our desires, but about ordering them, learning to live with moderation and temperance. The virtue of temperance is what allows us to find balance, to not be slaves to our appetites, but to use them in an orderly and wise way. Now I ask you, how can we apply all this to our daily lives? How can we face the dark night, that feeling of blindness, weariness, and disorder in our modern life? We live in a world that constantly bombards us with stimuli, noise, and demands. Our society pushes us to constantly seek immediate pleasure, success, recognition. And often, without realizing it, we find ourselves internally disordered. We have too many things to do, too many conflicting desires, too many worries weighing on us. The result is that we feel tired, overwhelmed, and sometimes even dirty, as if our soul is weighed down by all this disorder. Saint John of the Cross invites us to silence, to find moments of peace and tranquility where we can listen to God's voice. How can we do this in our daily lives? Perhaps it's helpful to dedicate time to daily prayer, to turn off our phones for a while, to find spaces of silence where we can reflect on our lives and put order in our thoughts and desires. The dark night is not a punishment, but a necessary phase of our spiritual journey. It is a moment when God invites us to let go of everything that binds us, so that we can surrender completely to Him. It is a process of purification that, though painful, leads us to a deeper joy and a fuller union with God. Finally, I want to emphasize the importance of surrender. The dark night is an invitation to surrender completely into God's hands, to trust in Him even when we cannot see the way, even when we are tired and discouraged. This surrender is not passivity, but an act of deep faith, acknowledging that God is in control of our lives, even when we cannot perceive Him. The dark night is not easy, but it is an opportunity to grow in our relationship with God. Saint John of the Cross teaches us that if we allow ourselves to be purified by God, if we learn to put order in our inner lives, if we trust in Him fully, we can walk through the dark night and arrive at a greater joy, a deeper union with our Creator. Dear brothers, let us know in the comments your thoughts, and if you too have experienced your own dark night. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos, and to join our community of faith and prayer. May God bless us all.